right, guys, this is the first time I'm introducing. We got a little bit of a new crew today. Hey, God bless Buff. His dad's having a hard time. He's up there in Jacksonville. We're going to give a shout out. I hope they're listening. But God bless and keep fighting, Pops.
Amen.
All right.
Peace and prayers to the family for sure.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a tough way to start, but we're going to talk some sports, get our minds off things for a couple minutes. We have Jamarr Chase. I'm going to give a little summary on what we're going to break down. Jamarr Chase spits on Jalen Ramsey. Chase is denying it. That's really weird. Josh Allen explodes on the Tampa Bay Bucks, makes that defense look like Swiss cheese. In some way, though, not a horrible loss, I feel like. Giants obviously lose a close one. Seahawks, another not so bad loss. Kind of that lose small before you got to win small kind of thing. We got Steph Curry coming into town tonight. I mean, it's kind of crazy. He's 37 years old, still hasn't lost a step. It's kind of weird. His shooting percentage is a little down, but I think it's kind of weird to see a guy that physically wasn't so special even 15 years ago. They thought his ankles wouldn't give, or his ankles would give in sooner or later, but he's coming into town tonight. Shador Sanders, hard to talk about there. Bo Nix saying they got a pretty good team over there. Keep your head up, Kansas City. You guys will be okay. And then we're going to end it with some college football. Lane Kiffen getting shopped around. I mean, let's be real. There's no pretty way to leave your team for a better job. But is LSU a better job? We'll figure it out. We got Jeff Schneider from Uninformed Fan coming in as a guest host. Sean Overman, Sports Rants. Listen to them on Wednesday nights. All right, guys. What do we think, Jeff? Jamarr Chase. Actually, hold on, really quick. A little summary. Jeff and I go way back, right? We've been pretty much really close for the last 15, 20 years. And I always think it's funny, Jeff, because Barbie will ask me sometimes, hey, is Jeff going to be at this get-together today? I'm like, I have no clue. He's like, you haven't talked to Jeff today? I'm like, we've talked for the last 4 hours. I have 75 text messages from him. So what do you mean? You don't know if he's going to be there today? I go, I have no clue. We'll know when we get there. What are you guys talking about? Who to start, whose ass got kicked, and vice versa.
How can fantasy football work out well for both of us in some way, form, or another? I appreciate the text that you sent me yesterday on my way to work saying, I still think you have a chance in this matchup. George Pickens, you're only down by 30. He's got Pickens. You have Brock Bowers. This could really go off. And I go, TJ, he's got Dak Prescott as well, too. Turns out neither were needed. As Brock Bowers doesn't do anything whatsoever. But I appreciate the confidence that you had in my team and always encourage them. What's up, Buff? How you doing, brother?
What's up, Buff? What's up, Wu-Tang? What's up, boys? And I think that, that was actually genuine. I actually wasn't trolling for one of the few times in my life. And I think you knew that right away.
No, 100%. That's why I was laughing. I was sending you the crying laughing emoji because I knew that you legitimately did not see it, which is ironic as well, too, because we had the conversation about him benching Drake May on Thursday night against the Jets. And I was trolling you about this, saying that you were influencing decisions in fantasy football when he started Dak Prescott instead. So I just thought it was funny that we somehow got to that point and came full circle with the quarterback start as well, too.
No, yeah, for sure. Kind of interesting. And Overman, I got to give you your props, buddy. You whooped my ass in Survivor. I stood no chance. You stepped on my neck, and then you stomped on it, and then you gave me a smiley face on the curb. But what do you got to say about your team right now? Break down your top three players of the day.
I mean, my team's just really boomer bust, right? Like I said that when I drafted it, I reached for Josh Allen in the third round. He's been consistent, but not like, 40, 50 points a game that you kind of expect from a player drafting that high for a quarterback, right? And then C-Mac, took a reach on him at 7, and he just has been a rock, right? His worst game's like 9 points. He's averaging about 20 as a floor every single week. Him and Kittle are getting me 50 a week right now. You can't ask for anything more than that with two players from the same team, right? And then Nico, I thought I had a steal on him, and he looked horrible, and then he looked good, and then he's been really good with Mills, which crazy, nobody expected. But, those three right there are really just holding it down for me, and I think I put up 160 last week, and then I put up 190 this week, so the team's really showing a lot with JMO too. Consistent 3 weeks now, 3 weeks consistent. You can't ask for anything more from a guy like that. That gave you 0 4 weeks ago or 5 weeks ago. They went on a bye, and then he comes out and he's put up, 20, 18, and 24 or something. So my team, I could put up 200 in a week, just like Buffs, but I could easily put up 80 in a week too. That's just the highs and lows of a team like mine.
And that's a story like Fantasy and Jeff. So right, we're going into work, and I'm still hanging in there because I had ETN get 2 touchdowns. Josh Allen put up a 65 burger, but I was only like projected to lose by 20 points going into the 4 o'clock game. Right? So then I'm at work. I'm getting kind of busy. I see the Niners have 21 points. I know he has C-Mac and Kittle. So I'm like, ooh, I have Jennings. I'm like, ooh, maybe I got a little piece of that. Nope. C-Mac got 2 of those. Kittle got 1 of those. And then I think Kittle got a second one, or either vice versa.
The Niners combined for 5 touchdowns, and all 5 went to C-Mac and Kittle. So, from a fantasy point of view, for me, I can't ask for anything more than that.
Yeah, but yeah, you're getting hot kind of at the right time. And looks like it's Buff leading the way. And
yeah, he's 1C for sure.
Jeff, it's me, you, Jeff, and Munson fighting for bye weeks.
I told TJ though. I said I'm going from second place this past week. I will be out of the playoffs by the end of next week. I'm very confident in that, and in my team that's exactly what's going to happen. So it's funny that Nico Collins,
bug, right?
Yeah, it is what it is. It's fantasy stuff, and you try to draft handcuffs, but the problem is when you draft handcuffs for your running backs, that it really takes away from the depth that you have on your team if you do sustain injury. So that's the other issue with that is you have to stay healthy if you have handcuffs, which is really tough. The Nico Collins thing is very interesting though. I was watching this thing. Davis Mills is breaking it down about how basically anytime they play man against Nico Collins, Davis Mills is looking his way every single time. And as long as they're not running cloud coverage over the top, he's basically going to say, okay, I'm going to try to get Nico the ball in some form, way or another. So, and we've seen it come to fruition. I got Nico on a different team, and he's been great the past few weeks. So hopefully that continues when Stroud does come back eventually.
I mean, honest, Stroud's not coming back this week either, it looks like.
No.
So I'm all for it. I mean, as a Nico owner, you kind of don't want Stroud to come back.
Yeah.
And isn't it kind of crazy? Or no, Jeff, go on.
I was going to say this is a gregreat matchup for Nico as well, too. This is definitely a plus matchup. Like, I don't think the Bills secondary is anything to write home to your mom about. They've been pretty bad. They all I've said this as well, too, especially, I know we'll get into the Bucks game, but when you're able, like the Patriots can have a guy like Christian Gonzalez and just take away your number one weapon and Emeka Egbuka when you're playing the Bucks, then that really only leaves you with Tez Johnson and K-Dot. You know what I mean? But the Bills never had that option. They don't have that guy to be able to take away a wide receiver. So I do think you have a legitimate number one in Nico who's going to be able to eat again on this Thursday.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I think, Jeff, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago through text. How the Texans went from having Nico and that's kind of it to maybe they're pretty deep on offense, right? Like what you got Woody Marks, you got Jaden Higgins, you got Jalen Noel, you got Dalton Schultz. It's like all Christian Kirk had a catch and a couple targets last game, which he might get going. But you have Nico and everybody else. But the reason why I thought they can't always just focus and run cloud coverage and double cover and just bracket Nico Collins is because you can't just forget about all those other guys, right?
Yeah, there are speed weapons and there is Dalton Schultz. I kind of wish with the run game they would just commit to one. It seems like it's so murky for fantasy purposes. It's like you're not getting true workload for one of the running backs. It's just completely split. So. Yep.
And Star Spangler, we'll definitely get into the Rams Seahawks game. It was
Sean, who's your team, by the way? I don't think I have
Seattle.
You are a Seattle fan, okay.
Yeah, he's a Seattle fan, Oregon fan, pretty much everything up in the Northwest. All right, let's kind of just get into the like current events of what happened last weekend and stuff like that. Jamarr Chase spits on Jalen Ramsey. At first, nobody really saw it. Jalen Ramsey punched Jamarr Chase. Jalen Ramsey, like everything, you're not the first one that gets caught. The second guy, it's the second action that gets caught, right? Jalen Ramsey punches him, gets ejected from the game, and now Jamarr Chase is kind of denying it. Did you guys watch it live? Or not live? Did you watch the replay of it? Because
I watched the replay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's as blatantly obvious as spitting in his face, right? It could have. It's not like you can't clearly say. It kind of went and kind of spit down a little bit, but it seems like the public, and I'm a little bit with the public here, he was spitting in that direction and maybe at him, right? We agree on that?
Absolutely.
Yep. And do we agree that spitting on someone is like the worst thing? Like if your son or kid ever comes home and says, this guy spit on me and I clobbered him in the face, I'm suspended for 5 days. It's you dab him up and say, don't ever let someone disrespect you like that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I said right when I saw it and I'm driving home, I said, if he comes out and publicly apologizes and says, I lost my cool, I am embarrassed of my action, I could forgive him, right? But now you're doubling down on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost think like I can never forgive Jamarr Chase on this one, right? Like almost to the like, what does that matter when it comes to anything? Yeah, like who knows, right? I'm probably gonna still draft him if he slips to me at 5 next year, right? But like I have lost a lot of credibility. I will not like Peyton has Jamarr Chase on his fantasy football team as a keeper for 2 years. We will not be buying a Jamarr Chase jersey, which we thought about doing for Christmas. Shit like that, right? I think that matters. And I will not let Peyton ever talk about him as a role model and things like that. So, yeah, you're a great ball player. And, yeah, you made a mistake. I can forgive you. But you can't admit and take accountability for that. I'll let you guys take the floor.
Go ahead, Sean.
No, I just think if you just come out and say, my bad, it's a big deal, but it's like, hey, you realize what you did wrong. Instead, you're making an excuse for it. You're going to appeal the decision, take your 1 game suspension. You got away with it in the game. You didn't get away with it after. You have the cameras on you. There's no like plausible deniability there where you could have been like, it's on a fine line. You did what you did. Like you said, it's a bad look for kids that look up to him too, and there's a lot of kids that watch football. So, that's saying now you're telling them, hey, if you don't do it at someone, it's okay to do it towards someone. And that's still not right at all. So.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. I think there's certain things that happen that'll always make you shift and maybe view somebody in a different way or a different light. This is definitely something that happened that I will no longer view Jamarr Chase in the same light that I saw him before. Now you talk about there's repercussions to every action, right? He gets the 1 game suspension. Let's be real. If you have Joe Burrow on your fantasy team and you're hoping that he comes back, this is a huge hit to that for you as well too, because now they're going up against the New England Patriots the next week, and you take away Jamarr Chase. Well, what did I just talk about, right? Christian Gonzalez can just take T. Higgins and cover half the field. Not to mention the Bengals have been abysmal on defense all year. You're going to have Travion Henderson. You're going to have Drake May. This game might really get out of hand when it comes down to it. And is that going to deter them from wanting to bring Joe Burrow back for the last 4 or 5 games of the season?
And Jeff, can our listeners take a wild guess on who's going to benefit most in our fantasy league from Jamarr Chase getting hurt? Buff, obviously, right? He has
got to be. Yeah.
And
and he's got Chase Brown. He's got Chase Brown as well, right?
Yeah. Buff can't catch a break in fantasy, unfortunately,
Can we be honest though? If you're going to get Buff, this is going to be the week, because the Patriots are the number 1 defense in the NFL against the run. They just gave up. I think Breece Hall had it too, but before Sean Tucker and before Breece Hall, they hadn't give up a runner of 50 yards rushing the entire year to a single runner. And so if you're talking about now, they're just going to be able to put Gonzalez over on T, kind of take him away, and now you're going to be able to load the box against Chase Brown and Joe Flacco. That's a recipe for absolute disaster. So if you're going to get Buff, you got to hope to play him this week, and I'm curious as to who gets that matchup going forward. Also, let's be honest, Buff's team is ridiculous. This guy had McMillan on the bench last week as Bryce Young throws for 450. Don't get me started on the Falcons and that dumpster fire over there. I'm beside myself.
I can't figure it out. Wu-Tang, Ramondre is practicing this week. They say he's going to come back. It's going to be very interesting to see how Vrabel works that in. Whatever he does, he's going to do it masterfully, right?
Well, guess who Buff plays this week?
Can't be Kroll. I know that because I play Kroll.
No, it's John who owns Jamarr Chase, of course.
Yeah. Of course.
Of course, right?
Buff can't catch a break in fantasy. All right. Let's talk about the Bucs Bills game, right?
Mm-hmm.
First of all, is it like impossible to get a clean hit on Josh Allen? First of all, when he's running these quarterback sweeps, kind of right, with the one for the touchdown, and it doesn't even look super graceful. But then when you watch it from like the camera that was kind of up top, he reads blocks and hits holes like a running back. Like, it was crazy how he's running right at a defender, and then right when the defender's about to hit him, the left guard comes in and just cleans house. He cuts in and then goes in for a touchdown. When it looked like that sweep was kind of like blown up, right? But it's just so weird how Josh Allen, I'm going to say this, I don't even know if Josh Allen's ever had a concussion or not, but it just seems like for how much he runs, he never gets clobbered, right? It's always just like him kind of falling forward. Now, we all know he's bigger, and I get that, but why is it like no one can ever get a clean hit on him?
I mean, you know what it reminds me of, especially when it gets to be like cold weather time and it gets to like what it was in Buffalo this past weekend, is it's like trying to break down Derrick Henry. When he just has like a head of steam and he's going forward, and he's the biggest dude on the field, and he's really tough to bring down. It just is what it is. Did you watch this game?
Yep.
I thought the Bucs played a great game. And even with like a couple minutes left, we're right in there. The game's back and forth. It's just Josh was Josh, man. And sometimes you just got to take your hat off and tip your cap to somebody and say, GG's. I thought that was the best game the Bucs have played in the past 3 or 4 weeks, probably. Definitely since the Lions game.
Offensively.
But before the Lions game. Defensively, it's the most aggravating thing. Even that, if you look at the past few games, right? Jahmyr Gibbs, Ramondre Stevenson, even Josh Allen. You bottle somebody up the entire time. And then all of a sudden, boom, they break one. And then all of a sudden, you bottle them up, boom, they break two. So it's not like you're getting gashed for 8 yards. You're giving up 55 and 60-yard house calls every single game.
Yeah.
And I don't know where that disconnect happens, where it's like you're playing so good, you're bottling somebody up. Gibbs wasn't doing anything. Travion wasn't really, gashing us like at that rate. They just hit these huge runs that ended up being game changers on both ends. And same thing with Josh.
The Tampa Bay Bucs had 2 interceptions early on, and they should have had a third one that like just got dropped. So yeah, you guys were giving Josh Allen problems, but you're right. Yeah. It was stop, and then big play.
And then it was like, the Ty Johnson out of the backfield for 56 yards. Josh Allen is on 3rd and 13, and he's like, he's going off script, and he's off axis, and he's throwing a ball 40 yards from the side and whipping it into the end zone to whoever number 14 is. I don't even know who this kid is. Who went nuts for the Bills. I saw him in one other game where they were just feeding him the ball. I mean, Khalil Shakir, one catch, -2 yards. Obviously, there's no Kincaid, which is usually a security blanket, and still the guy goes off for 300 yards and 6 touchdowns. It's like, what do you do, dude?
I know. Sean, you think the Bills could be in the Super Bowl?
I mean, I never count Josh Allen out of anything. I don't think they're going to be in the Super Bowl personally, but that's a team. Like, if you look at Josh Allen's career, right? Besides Stephon Diggs, what wide receiver has he had that's been like a household name? Well, like, he does it with not bums, but like, not superstar studs. If you gave him like if you put Jamar Chase and T. Higgins on that team, I mean, Jesus, you're not going to stop that team. So I think what he does, he's a magician. He's almost doing what Baker's doing now, right? Baker has had injuries all year, and the guy's just making magic happen. They're on a little bit of a loss streak now, 2 games, 3 games. But what Baker's done throughout the season with the amount of injuries that the Bucs have had, it's really impressive. And, the same thing with a guy like Mahomes, right? Like, minus having Tyreek Hill. Now you have Rice, but like the last couple of years, he was doing it with Kelsey, so like you have that one good player and then a bunch of like players that probably wouldn't start on other teams, and he makes them look like almost superstars for no reason.
Have we ever seen the NFL? This has been a very long time since we've seen the NFL this wide open. Yeah. I was going to joke, and if we did power rankings today, I was going to put the Chiefs as my number 1 team, because like that's how wide open it is, right? Like, tell me right now in the AFC, are we really going to say we think the Patriots are clearly going to run away with it and go to the Super Bowl? I would be shocked. And I'm not putting the Patriots down. It's just there's got to be something's going to slow them down. They had the easiest schedule by far. They say in NFL history. And
they're also young too, right? It doesn't even matter if they go the first round in Foxborough. I think they still probably lose because they have so many young players.
Yeah, it's just going to take some time, right, Jeff? Right?
Patriots will have a home field.
Well, after the
bye. At least, in the semi. The problem with the Bills to me is that their defense is so bad, and there's no way that you can change it from what you did. You made decisions in the offseason to bring in a guy like Bosa, who I thought was a splash play. It was more hypey. It was more, for flash and without substance of actually doing anything. And McDermott continues to do these things. Now, was this a great spot for Buffalo? Of course. You're coming back home. You're playing I don't even want to call us banged up anymore. This is our team. Like, we cannot just keep on blaming injuries on everything on offense. Like, this is our team. You got to figure it out at some point. But you're coming back home in the cold at 1:00. I mean, it was rocking. The stadium was going nuts. It was a great spot for Buffalo. With that being said, I thought the Bucs were still in the game. Obviously, you can't give up 44 points. That's a huge issue. I just think their defense is the problem. And I think that the pieces are still there for Tampa Bay. I know they've had a few struggling games. But, I mean, your 3 losses so far are Buffalo, Detroit, and Philadelphia. So I know you get the Rams this week in L.A., which is going to be the night game on Sunday night, which is another huge, tough game. And then after that, everything gets much easier, right? It's the Saints, it's the Cardinals, it's the Panthers twice, it's the Dolphins. So this was always that stretch that you were just trying to come out unscathed with. So I still think great things ahead for this Bucs team. I love the way that they're assembled, assuming you have Jamel Dean and McCollum. Jamel Dean has been one of the highest graded corners in all of PFF this year. And now you can get Hassan Reddick back. You can go ahead and bring back Mike eventually by the end. Hopefully Godwin will be back the next week or two. But who knows if Godwin will ever be the same. And Bucky Irvin was a walkthrough at practices, so hopefully he will be back this week as well.
Yeah, I think that the Bucs, it's going to be interesting to see, can they get all these pieces back on offense in time to just get in a little bit of a rhythm right before the playoffs.
Yeah.
But there's no doubt that I will not be surprised if we see the Bucs in the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl, just because of what they're doing right now without Bucky, without Mike Evans, without Godwin and a hobbled Igbuka.
Don't you think there's a lot of teams that are definitely peaking right now? Like, I don't think that I think there's teams that are hitting their peak where I don't know if they can go any higher than where they are. And that's something that I'm looking at to try to fade going into the playoffs. Because there are teams that are definitely going to be in the playoffs, but are they already hitting the crescendo right now? I guess is kind of where I'm at, and I'm looking at stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Bucs have one of the easier divisions in football, right? And that's going to kind of help them get through this injury bug. And, let's talk about the other NFC, another big NFC game that we talked about a lot last week and we were excited to watch. And it lived up to the hype. Seattle at the Rams. Yeah. Seattle, you said this last year. You were very publicly, you bet heavy on Sam Darnold late, lost a couple mortgage payments. And then Sam Darnold saw ghosts in the first round of the playoffs. And now, I mean, the Seahawks really don't have a great win on their schedule yet. You know what I mean? And this was a game where I don't care if you win or lose. They only lost by 2, so that's okay. But to me, as a Seattle fan, and I'll let Sean take the floor on this, are you still worried that Sam Darnold, almost like a Dak Prescott in a way, can't really, in that big game, can he see the field clearly? I call, not to cut you off, Sean, I know you're about to go on a rant, but I call Trevor Lawrence squiggly line, Trevor squiggly line Lawrence, right? When you're playing Madden and you're on the road, you try to hot route and the lines go like this, right? Is that what Sam Darnold sees when the pressure is on the line? What do you think, Sean?
I mean, he didn't look good at all, right? Like that, and to me, this game was great simply for the fact that he threw 4 picks and we lost by 2, right? I think that shows how good our defense is. I think we have probably the best or second best defense in the NFL. We're young. So they're just finally getting in their stride. Eamon Wari looks amazing. I'm really happy with that pickup. And our corners are playing good. It's just hard to win games when your quarterback's throwing 4 interceptions, right? This game could have easily been 44-19. So Darnold is just it's hard because you had Big Cat come out and, he basically told everyone, he's like, Darnold has won us more games than we've lost, right? And if you're going to say that Darnold is the problem, shut the fuck up. That's what he said. And I mean, for one of your defensive leaders to come out and say that says a lot. That game wasn't just lost by Darnold, right? There was and the other stuff that happens in the game. They were up 14-3 early on, and then we kind of held true. I think they had 7 points in the last 3 quarters, so that's good.
There's no doubt, though, you guys got a defense. There's no doubt about that. There's one doubt. Now, to me, hook your wagon to Sam Darnold for the next 5 to 8 years.
Yeah,
I'm cool with that, right? You got to go through these growing pains, but also makes me a little nervous that you guys still haven't beat a really good team yet.
I mean, we haven't beat a good team, right? But we have the home win at the Steelers, and I think, the Texans win is still a good win. The Texans aren't a bad team. They have the number one defense in the league. Like, their defense is legit. I'm not saying that's a quality win, but I'm saying it's not a bad win, right? Like, in all of our wins or games that we should win, we dominated, right? Like, we beat the Cardinals 44-22, Commanders 38-14.
Oh yeah, you're gonna beat the shitty teams for sure.
Yeah, but we're not like the Denver Broncos where we're winning those games by 3 points, right? They're 9-2, whatever it is, and they're winning those games by a couple points. We're beating the teams we need to beat by a lot of points.
Seven Spring says it perfect. He says
we've had an easy schedule. But we're going through the AFC South. That's our schedule this year. That's where they put them. This guy just loves the Rams over here. It's fine to be an LA fan.
Hey, for lying, he's
been waiting for this. Carl Spangled, you've been one of our loyal listeners. We appreciate that.
If you look at the Rams schedule too, they don't really have any quality wins either. They beat the Colts by 7. That's a good win. They beat the Ravens 17-3 when the Ravens had nobody, and then they have a win against the Niners last week, which was a good win. The Niners just looked like they couldn't score the ball. I think if they played the Niners this week, they would have lost to a Purdy.
Yeah, but we can't say that about the Rams. I mean, Sean, I know you're bitter that the Seahawks lost and they don't have a big win yet, but we cannot say that the Rams have not had a big win. The Rams just will beat the Colts, who are one of the best teams in the NFL. And they just beat the Seahawks, one of the best teams in the NFL. I mean, they lost to the Niners on a bullshit fumble. The Rams are good. Seahawks are good. But Sam Darnold has to show, and he might do that in the playoffs, right? But he has to show that he can win a big game. But we can't say
we got to make the playoffs. That division is tough, man. You got the Niners at 7-4.
Seahawks going to the playoffs, though. Seahawks going to the playoffs. Their defense is too good, and look at the way it's set up. Look at the way that
Can we just say something real quick, if we may? Is that watching this game? I will say is that I thought that Darnold would finally come back down to earth this game. The fact that he throws 4 picks, the fact that the Rams get up how they do, the fact that they still, and I understand, look, Seattle, if you had the Ram side on this spread at 3, you're sick to your stomach.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you why. Because they score the first touchdown. They finally score with 2.5 minutes left. They get the ball back. They come down. But at the end of the day, you still have a chance to win the game. So I think you can take that as a solid, okay, we played our C game probably, and we still had a chance to win. Now, what kind of game did the Rams play? Because the Rams forced 4 turnovers, but at the same time, Matt Stafford was not great. If you look at his numbers, he wasn't what he's been this whole year, so he struggled. I do think they have a great defense. I think Seattle's done a really good job at drafting and also developing the talent they've drafted as well, too. I think McDonald is a great coach. For me, this is very simple. When you lose a game like you just lost, how do you respond the next week?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you have the Tennessee Titans this week at 1:00, right? We used to always say, you never worry. We used to always worry about the West Coast teams coming to East Coast for a 1:00 game. I think that was my argument that I made with the Chargers Jags this past week as well, too, is that's not a thing anymore. Well, obviously that was an abysmal performance by the Chargers. So maybe it still is. I want to see, if you're a really good football team, you come out and you make a statement this week. You don't struggle with the Titans. You come out, you put your foot down, you let your defense exert itself against a rookie quarterback, and you just make sure that Simmons doesn't just absolutely wreak havoc on your entire O-line, and you keep it moving. But I want to see how they respond this week.
Yeah, we also lost Gray Zabel in that game as well, which hurt. But he's day to day, so that's good. And honestly, we probably could have won that game if the Rams punter just didn't hit an absolute nuke. That was one of the best punts I've ever seen.
Best punt maybe in the history of the NFL.
That was
literally, that's what they said yesterday. That's what some radios. They're the greatest punt of all time. It made me go back and rewatch it on Twitter like 3 times.
Yeah, I watched it live and I was like, I literally walked out of the back. I was talking to TJ and I turned the corner and I saw the ball bounce and I said, did that go out at the 1? And I was like, that ball went out at the 1. That was probably the best punt I've ever seen. I mean, and we drove the ball down. We had 40 seconds left. We drove the ball all the way down. We got
it's a good loss. It's a good loss.
Didn't it seem too like McVay in the second half just was like, okay, Sam's doing Sam things right now. Don't put the pedal to the metal here. Let's kind of play conservative. Let's allow Sam to kind of beat himself if we can. And then what do we always say, right? You start playing like that, you take the foot off the gas, and all of a sudden, your whatever 10-point lead shrinks very, very quickly.
Did you guys see McVay on the sidelines? That guy's put on like 15 pounds of pure fucking dude. Yeah. Like, I'm telling you right now, give me that guy on a fullback dive or doing a tush push with Stafford. Put shoulder pads on that dude. I'm like, I always knew he was in good shape. He's a good looking guy. And also, it's kind of interesting, right? Because we've already heard the whispers that McVay wants to not retire early, but get out of coaching. It's almost like the guy really takes his physical health serious, and maybe he takes his mental health serious. But I don't know. That's like, he reminds me of a Vrabel when it just comes, I want that guy leading my men. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And like the way he carries himself, but the dude is fucking jacked. He was not that big last year or the last 5 years I've seen him.
No, yeah, he looks like a tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, plus 1,400 to win the NFC. I remember I took him plus 2,500 to win the Super Bowl before the year started. After everything started happening in the beginning of the year started, I actually cashed it out because I was getting plus money on it. And I knew that eventually they're going to come back down to earth. There's no way you're going to finish with 2 losses on the entire season. Eventually they're going to come back down to earth. And when they do, and everybody starts to count you out again, then that's when you hop back on the train.
Yep. Let me let's bounce around a little bit to Shedeur Sanders. If I remember correctly watching the replay, I think he completed his first 2 balls, which makes this even worse when it really comes up, right? I mean, this is a guy that had a chance, and I don't want to hear any of the bullshit. And I've been somewhat of a Shedeur supporter, saying put him in for good reason.
You have for weeks. You've been saying that,
but you can't say, oh well, he's been playing with the second and third team. He hasn't had first team reps, because we all know as a backup, you never get the first team reps in practice. You're supposed to come in and be a professional. And there is no doubt in my mind, Shedeur could be a competent quarterback in the NFL, but there's also no doubt in my mind, Shedeur did not come into this game prepared and kind of just said, fuck it. Or with the narrative, or the Browns screw me over, etc. I don't know exactly what he's saying. I know he was very hard on himself after the game, didn't leave the field, soaked it in, which I do respect that aspect of it. But man, the lack of preparation and the lack of production was bothersome.
It's got to be tough. It's got to be tough to finally get out there and finally have a chance. And that's what ends up happening. And obviously you're playing the Ravens. Once they saw Shedeur come out, it was like they smelled blood in the water, bro. Yeah. All 3 of them doing the wristwatch thing after the sack on him. I'm standing over top of him. Like, there was a lot of like welcome to the NFL moments for Shedeur there. I thought he handled it gracefully, like he has this entire situation. I thought the comments that he made about Dillon Gabriel after the game still continuing to be the starter and him needing to be supported by the fan base a little bit more, and to stop calling for his job because he's doing the best he can out there, I thought was spot on as well. We'll see what he does with reps in the first team this week. Obviously, it looks like he's not going to, or Dillon Gabriel is not going to be able to play. So, listen, let's see what we get with a full week of Shedeur at practice, actually running with the ones. I think it's probably been tough on him too, because I do feel like he got drafted to a situation and a head coach in Kevin Stefanski that is not really rooting for him to succeed. And I think that's tough. And that's because litany of factors, one being Stefanski wanted to keep his job. And part of that wanting to keep your job is that you also want to make sure that you're right. And the guy that I wanted to draft first was the correct choice. It's really tough to be undermined as a coach, and still have that. So I just think I think this is going to be a big week for Shedeur, but I expect much better things for Shedeur as well too going forward.
That's interesting. I didn't know that Shedeur said that after the game about supporting Dillon Gabriel and all that stuff. That's pretty cool, actually. I didn't
Super graceful in his comments, and was just really, he was like, listen, it's been a tough time because everybody's calling for me, and Dillon's our starter. I'm the backup right now. Dillon's hurt, so I'm going to step in, but Dillon is the starter here, and the fan base needs to hop on with Dillon instead of continuously being toxic and trying to call for me to be out there.
Wow, that's very mature statements, and I didn't know anything about that. I'm going to break down Survivor Pool really quick. Really quick story, right? This was 4 or 5 years ago. Jeff, Tyson, and I are in Survivor Pool, right? So, Sean, I don't know if you ever heard this story. I'm sure you
guys split it.
Oh, man.
Jeff is only in week 10, which in Survivor is nothing. There was 30 people left in the pool still. So he's got a 1 in 30 chance of winning it. So we're talking, one night, and he starts showing me the teams he's picked. And I'm like, holy cow, you've literally punted the first 10 weeks and gotten lucky as fuck, and great strategy. He actually took the loss on purpose in week 6.
Picked the
Texans, and just so he could burn that team. Pure strategy, and you're also pissing away $50. So it's around 18,000 for first place. He's got a 1 in 30 chance. I tell him this is a $100 buy-in, by the way, 50 for the rebuy, so he's in for 150. I go, I will give you $500 for 33% of your buy-in, which is a no-brainer for him. Tyson gets wind of it.
Yeah.
This is at Admiral's Service Bar at the Boathouse.
Yeah, you guys were doubling my net worth at the time.
Yeah. Tyson's getting pounded on the service well, and overhears that Jeff is selling a little bit of equity. Tyson offers $500 for 33%. So now, obviously, this is a no-brainer for Jeff. Jeff takes his $1,000, which he had in his Venmo account before he finished the word, I accept. And now he is not only free rolling, but he's got $1,000 in his account. 10x his money with pretty much no chance to win Survivor. We know how that goes, right? A bunch of 2-pick weeks left. Well, we get to week 17, and there's 3 players left. We're trying to cut side deals with these players. We're trying to do something where we can at least guarantee a few thousand. We're trying to figure out who they're going to pick, who we're going to pick. It's all crazy. It's a 2-pick week. It ends up locking our picks before we could submit who we want to play. So we had 1 pick locked up. The other one, the website automatically defaults to the biggest favorite that you have available, which we did not want at that time. Right, Jeff?
So, yeah, and also the way it went down was that we were trying to switch it because we wanted we wanted to bet the Colts, Chuck Pagano's very last game that he was coaching, to win. And at the time, it was a 2-pick week, but we were also trying to remove, I believe it was Kirk Cousins and the Redskins were playing Eli Manning's they're playing against Eli Manning in his last game in New York. And so we were trying to get all these emotional different things tied in, and it ended up auto picking us one of our picks, which ended up being the Miami Dolphins, who ended up beating the Buffalo Bills that week. And they beat them so that, I don't know if you remember this, the Bengals made the playoffs that year because the Dolphins won the game, and everybody is at the Bengals stadium because the end of their game was like coinciding with the Dolphins game. The Dolphins went on like a walk-off, and their whole stadium just goes absolutely berserk.
Yeah. No, it was crazy. It was fun. And ended up being, because we gave 2,000 to one of the guys. That was the agreement we ended up making. So it was 18,000 minus 2,000, 16,000 divided 3 ways.
Yep.
Jeff still thinks about that a little bit. I think he appreciated the equity, and it's a risk that he would take again. I think, right? You give away you take your $1,000 and hopefully you get lucky. But
at the time, this is what, 7-8 years ago, maybe.
Well, yeah. So we were running up the poker app was hard. The poker app was hard.
So at the time, financially, probably that was a smart move. Now where I'm at, I'm probably not taking the deal, right?
Yeah.
Just is what it is.
Yeah, it's a fun time. It's a fun story. We always do like a little survivor pool breakdown really quick on all survivor pool, but there were wait, I want to make sure I got this right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yeah, there are 13 people left. 2 got knocked out. 1 out of 13, 2 got knocked out. 1 took the Chargers.
I know Tyson told me he had the Packers. That's why he was like melting down because we had talked about this. It's like you're playing Jameis Winston in New York. There's going to be one of two things that are going to happen here. Either the Packers are going to win this game by 30 points or Jameis Winston is going to have the ball in his hands with a chance to win the game at the very end, and you're going to be absolutely pissing yourself. So I know Tyson is still active in there. And I think Tyson's still in it. Ricky's brother as well, too, if I'm not mistaken.
I think Ricky's brother is still in it, too. I'm actually kind of surprised only 1 took the Chargers because that just everyone loved the Chargers. But most people just don't. You try to avoid the road teams in survivor pools just the way it works. And then the other team were the Vikings. Kind of a risky pick.
Wow.
But I graded. Yeah, Johnny T. Crazy story. Yeah. Johnny T is the one that runs the survivor pool. My close
runs the best survivor pool I've ever been a part of. So
and any pool, actually. If you guys are ever interested, you could DM me on Instagram, but we'll get.
How blessed are we to have people like that in our lives who run amazing pools and different things, for the community that we love to be a part of, and also have one of the best commissioners in all of fantasy sports, and Mark Fitzpatrick as well too.
Shout out Mark,
who is absolutely unbelievable. I just sometimes we don't think about it. It's so much ancillary stuff going on, and you reflect on it, and it's incredible how blessed we are, man.
And you know why these guys run great pools, and I'm being serious when it comes to this because it's not always easy, but the number one thing you need when a guy runs a pool and when a guy's a commissioner league, there's the number one factor. It's the most important thing in every league or anything you do when it comes to real money is the check is cut the second the survivor pool or the season is over, right?
Yeah.
It's not easy. Some people do it better than others, but we had that cashier's check. He divided it in 3 for us, right? And he was hoping to hand deliver it to us.
Appreciate you separating that for me as well, too. I wasn't trying to take the.
But the same thing with Mark. When you win a league and Mark runs it, the cash or check is in the mail right away. There's no questions asked, and I always appreciate that. It's hard to pay people sometimes. It's hard to get paid sometimes, right? And it's just tricky, and that's always an important factor when it comes to running those leagues. Is you got to pay on time. You just got because we all know they don't collect on time. These guys are always good at collecting and always good at giving someone a break if they need a little more time to get it too, right? But most importantly, those guys cut the checks the second the league is over. So the most popular pick in the survivor pool were the Packers, then the Ravens, the Patriots, and the Cowboys. Those were all multiple picks, but the Packers, you almost took down 20, it would have been 25% of the pool would have been taken out. If
that Ravens pick too is like the sketchiest of sketchy. Like I don't know, something about them in Cleveland, and it's also interesting too. I know there's a lot going on for the division race there, obviously, but also the Ravens still have the Steelers twice going forward as well. So that's going to be interesting too.
You know what? I was looking at the standings, and Sean and I were working the night that Jacksonville gave up 26 points to the Texans, right, in the fourth quarter. And you look at those standings now, and Jacksonville's up 1 game on them, right? 6-4, 5-5. And I know Coach Cohen, that's his name, right? Coach Cohen for Jacksonville. Is like, man, if we won that game, he'd be sleeping a lot. He would get an extra half hour of sleep every night if they won that game. And to blow that lead, especially with a dynamic running game that Jacksonville has right now, right? With the 2-headed monster, and they're not scared to run it down your throats like they did with the Chargers. If they could have won that game, they would be 2 games ahead of Jacksonville in that last playoff spot. And now they see the Texans and the Ravens chipping at their heels. Man, this playoff picture is murky.
Super murky. And to think, too, if you're going to project it out right? Remember that Jacksonville also beat Kansas City head to head. So if that comes down to both being tied at the very end, Jacksonville is going to get that nod because of the head to head. So just a lot of moving pieces and factors that are coming in here. And yeah, the NFL schedule makers, man. The only thing I disagree with the schedule makers, can we get rid of division games on Thursday nights?
I agree.
For instance, right? Seattle.
Yeah.
In a couple of weeks, they got to go play Indianapolis, right? They play Indy. They follow it up with playing the Rams that next Thursday.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Like you're going to give me, 4 days apart of having to go play LA, and then also, having to go. I don't know. I just feel like we're doing too much here.
Yeah. Let's go to the Broncos or the Kansas City Chiefs at Denver Broncos. Broncos won a close one. I thought that the Chiefs coming off a bye would somehow find a way to win this game in almost like a must-win kind of game. Sean, were you surprised that the Chiefs won? Or sorry, were you surprised the Broncos won? Or is this kind of as expected? The Broncos are hot right now, one of the hottest teams in the NFL. Not by the eyeball test, but by the standings. They're the hottest team, one of the hottest teams in the NFL right now.
Yeah, I picked Denver to win this game. I think that Denver is the better team. I thought the Chiefs won. Like, I thought that they had the game in the bag, and then Denver does Denver things, right? Like, I just feel like Denver is one of those teams where you can never count them out of a game. They're always in the game somehow. They could be down 21 points and they're still not out of the game. I don't know why that offense looks horrendous. They have so many tools.
So many cool weapons, bro. So many cool gadget players and Mims.
I'm a big Bo Nix fan, right? Bo Nix is the Oregon Ducks quarterback, right? Yeah. I've watched him for years. Dylan Gabriel is as bad as he's doing. I watch these guys play, right? Bo Nix is like 35. He played in college for like 14 years, but
I know, right?
he's a serviceable quarterback. He's had boom weeks this year where you're like, damn, he's really going to bring it to the next level, and he doesn't. He ends up not. And it's just like you got Ingram, Sutton, you had Dobbins and Harvey. Now you have Harvey. And I think TJ knows more than anybody. I am a huge RJ Harvey fan. And I just think you have these explosive weapons. UCF grad. I mean, the kid's an explosive running back. And your defense is probably the best defense or top 3 defense in the NFL, right? Like, they're keeping them in games, and they're keeping teams in check, and they're giving their team a chance. And it just felt like through the third quarter, this game is kind of over. And the Broncos, the best fourth quarter team in the NFL, right? They just come out and they do what they do, and they win this game in a gritty fashion. This is a heartbreaker for Kansas City, right? I think this kind of almost takes them out of the playoff race. It doesn't entirely, because you can never count out Kansas City, but
yeah, it was
this was a bad loss. Like, you go from being 6-4 to 5-5, and that's a huge difference. Like, it doesn't sound like a lot, but like, it's not good. I mean, I'd have to look at the standings here.
Jeff, what do you think about the game?
Yeah,
shocked.
Yeah.
I mean, my feelings about the Broncos. I think karma's not real because of Sean Payton. Nobody who I dislike as much as a head coach as Sean Payton in certain aspects. I think maybe that's just because of the Saints thing and me being a Bucs fan and so on and so forth. I've never been a Bo Nix guy. I thought that he could be serviceable in the NFL, but even watching him at Oregon or Auburn, whichever way he played, there was like one wow moment that he had. But there was never anything that just absolutely popped and made me say, this guy is a professional quarterback. I know I said the same thing about J.J. McCarthy. And speaking of J.J. McCarthy, this Broncos team reminds me a ton of the Minnesota Vikings from last year. They had a great defense. Sam Darnold was playing a little bit over his head. They were winning every single close game they could. Obviously, all of a sudden, last couple of weeks of the season happened. We see what happened with Sam Darnold, unfortunately, regress back to some old bad habits. With Bo and with this team, with Surtain, you're right. This is one of the best defenses in the NFL. Now, they're missing Bonito? Who's their edge that was so good that didn't actually play in this game, and I thought that would be big as well too. So
Surtain didn't play this game either, is the thing, right?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
Like,
Surtain was out as well, and it's like, this is a game that you hit the pass to Tyquan Thornton. Like that should be it.
Yeah.
The Chiefs won this game like 3 times,
Yeah.
and just somehow found a way to lose, and we've never seen that from Kansas City. They're like 0-6 this year in like 1-score games or something like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
0-5.
It's just it's not something that we've seen too often, and I don't know where they got. Listen, Kareem Hunt, he cannot be your number 1 running back. I don't understand how.
I don't know why they didn't trade for Brees. They should have just gave up the pick. I don't understand that.
Give up the pick for Brees Hall. You have
a fourth and a
him.
third is no difference.
Who cares?
Could you imagine this Kansas City team with Brees Hall on it?
Yeah,
I mean, the weapons and the options.
And then you can have the 1-2 punch, right? You can have Brees be your every down back and bring Kareem in for every third down and goal line work, and you're good to go. But you can't have only Kareem Hunt getting handoffs and then Patrick Mahomes having 1 yard. Those are the only 2 guys who rush the ball for Kansas City. So they're fundamentally broken right now, and I don't know how to fix it. So.
Troy Franklin's look good too, as Destina pointed out. He's actually really good. It's just he drops a lot of passes.
He does.
He drops a lot of. I mean, he reminds me of, unfortunately, Jordan Addison in a way. Like, they get wide open, and just drop shit they shouldn't drop.
Like, I know. I was trying to tag the FBI on Twitter about.
I know. Me
this
too.
Guy needs to be
I'm an Addison
with Jordan
owner,
Addison. I don't know what's going on right now, FBI, but I know if you're looking for gambling people who are throwing shit, this guy right here, pointing right at him, number 3.
It was funny because at the time I thought I had a chance in our Survivor fantasy matchup, right? And Jordan Addison just drops like a P-Rod by McCarthy, and
it wasn't a great throw. To be fair, if you watch it, it was an NFL. He should have caught the ball, right? He gets paid NFL money, but it was a little overthrown, and also the DB was pulling his shirt, so that factors a little bit. But I mean,
Zandy Buff will be back on Thursday. He had to go out of town for something. He's dealing with some family issues. We're praying for him, and let's hope as a team we. I think that Minnesota Chicago game, Caleb Williams is getting there. I thought his comments post game were like there's some arrogance there, which is okay, but it's like you're not there yet. Like when he literally said in the post game conference, I just know if my guys are in the huddle, we're gonna come out and win this game, stuff like that. And like I heard you guys touch on it yesterday too, when it comes to I'm having like some audio issues. I heard you touch on it yesterday. Tyson wasn't a big fan of everyone do their part, or what was the exact quote?
Yeah, it was everybody do your job, do your job, do your job.
That is something Nick Saban says to Alabama kids. You know what I mean? That's not something Caleb Williams says to pretty much every person in the huddle that's older than him, right? That is not, you've never heard Tom Brady as a rookie or second year say that in the huddle. You heard Tom Brady say that his 20th year in the NFL.
Yeah.
But you cannot say that. And it makes me think he still lacks those leadership qualities. And, being a leader, it's not easy. And he'll learn. I'm not saying I'm perfect or any way when it comes to that, but to be a leader of men, you can't tell a 32-year-old to do your job.
What's more cocky? Caleb Williams doing that, or Bo Nix after the game being
go back to that.
We talked about that. Yeah.
Hey, man, they got a good team over there. They came out and they played hard. Like, bro, what?
Yeah, you do
about
not
the
say
Kansas
that.
City Chiefs? Are you kidding me? Who do you think you are, bro? Like,
you do not say that about one of the greatest quarterbacks already of all time. One of the greatest coaches of all time. Andy Reid will probably get the most wins and will be known as, I think, the greatest coach of all time, to be honest with you.
I agree.
I think that they have Hall of Famers over there, and Bo Nix hasn't been steamrolled by the Chiefs that much to be that bitter towards them. Right. Now, Overman, Sean has a little bit of a different take on it. He thought it was just innocent and paying them respect. I can maybe see that.
Okay.
But I think the Sean Payton cockiness has kind of
I guess that's my thing too. We were talking about teams that are peaking, and they're peaking a little bit too early, right? The Colts could be one of those teams. Obviously, we'll see what happens this week playing Kansas City. Kansas City is going to come in there ready to go, but the Broncos could be one of those teams too. The problem becomes is that teams become unfadable when their defense is so good. And, like if the Browns just had an offense, right?
Oh my God, the Browns would be a top team in the NFL.
Yeah, they'd be the best team in the NFL if they had a quarterback, and it's just like, it's insane. You don't need a lot in this league to be successful.
No.
And I think that's what we're seeing with Bo Nix and with the Denver Broncos.
Okay, let me ask you guys this. I'll put you guys on the spot a little bit. Give me the AFC Championship winner right now, if you had to say it.
The AFC Championship winner right now.
To me, I still think it's Buffalo right now.
Buffalo goes to the Super Bowl. Okay, what about you, Jeff?
Yeah.
New England Patriots.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, it's to me, I say the Kansas City Chiefs.
We all probably have a different answer. Yeah, I guarantee that's how wide.
None of them are wrong.
There's not a wrong answer.
There's not a wrong answer.
I think the Chiefs will find a way to weasel into the playoffs and literally on week. Is it week 17? It's week
you said the NFL will find a way to weasel the Chiefs into the playoffs. Is that what you just said?
Yeah, that's what I meant. I'll tell you what, though. Week 18, Vrabel, Peyton, Harbaugh, everybody will be watching the Kansas City Chiefs scoreboard because they will be rooting against the Kansas City Chiefs, hoping to God that they don't squeak into the playoffs. Because if they do, whatever, right?
Yeah, you don't ever want to see them in the playoffs. Like, that is a team. No. You can avoid them. Doesn't matter if you're home, away, nothing. They will find ways to win games when they have to. And I feel like if they make it to the playoffs, they're going to be bitter about last year's Super Bowl. I don't want to see that team in the playoffs this year, man.
What about the Lions? What about the Lions-Eagles game? Were you guys? I was kind of surprised how
horrible call at the end of the game. That really just spoiled the whole game for me, if I'm going to be honest. And that's not like saying that Detroit should have won the game. They put up 9 points, right? Like, if they wanted to win the game, they could have. But that PI call, at least give Detroit a chance. That's my issue. Is Detroit didn't even have a chance to try to go down and tie the game. And everyone can be like, oh, well, that call didn't matter, everything else. I'm like, bro, he didn't even push the guy, didn't even touch the guy. I mean, they had a hand fight, as every team does, and they threw the flag like 6 seconds after the play. That was my issue with it.
Yeah, I hate pass interference calls in general. I wish we could almost find a way to get rid of it in a way, but it is what it is. If you're touching the guy, then you're you're close enough to. But Jeff, what do you think?
Yeah, so I thought the Eagles were going to beat down the Lions here. I thought they would score a lot more. I couldn't believe that Philly could not move the ball against this defense. It didn't make sense to me. I mean, Washington put up more points the week before with Mariota than Philly did. And you have the one-on-ones beat, right? Their DBs, there's no way their DBs are checking AJ or Devontae one-on-one ever. Saquon can still run the ball. I didn't get it. It's like they just get so conservative and they're going through these growing pains, and it's really tough to watch. I understand the argument about the PI call.
Thank you for listening, Taylor. We love you.
My argument is that Jared Goff was 14 of 37, and we say this all the time. Is like he had a bunch of opportunities to be able to make plays, right? And I understand Dan Campbell's taking back over, and everything's going to be all good now, and so on and so forth. But it's not. And the only way that Detroit is going to make a run in the playoffs is if they have home field advantage. Anything with them being outside and Goff being in weather, it's a wrap for them. They're not going to score points. So, I mean,
my issue with this game too is
maybe
like how many times they've been for it on fourth. I feel like they had at least 3 field goals there as well that they could have kicked. And then that last fourth down, Jared Goff threw it into the stands. I don't even know who he was throwing to. And I think the Eagles, I mean, I'm going to probably hurt a lot of people's feelings, but I think the Eagles are frauds as well. I think they're another team. They're not good. They're not good. That offense is not good. I think AJ Brown's a diva. I'm not on he's not on my fan wagon at all.
That defense is something to mess with.
The defense is legit, but I thought Detroit could have easily put up 35 here if Jared Goff didn't look like Sam Darnold did. I mean, Jared Goff looked horrible as well. And you know,
those are two guys that have yet to execute in the clutch. You know?
So when you say AJ Brown,
Bowl, right?
Did you see the entire 5
the fantasy
minute,
shit, right?
Hold on.
The
Goff has no Super Bowl win.
Goff does. I thought Goff won a Super Bowl.
He made it to the Super Bowl, I think.
No, that was he got traded and Stafford went that year. That was the year they beat the Bengals in the Super Bowl, and that was Stafford.
It was 2019.
It was Goff's team.
He made it. Yeah.
And he made it, and he lost to.
I forgot that they got
Patriots as well.
They got traded. But, that's my fault. Yeah.
I didn't really have a problem with AJ Brown's comments at all. I thought he was spot on, and everything that he said was 100% correct in terms of he enjoys that they're winning football games, but at the end of the day, he knows what Super Bowl and championships look like. And the way that this offense is being handled right now, the way that they're moving, they have no confidence whatsoever in anything that they do. He's 100% right. They're not winning a Super Bowl like this. So I guess my argument to push back is like, is he supposed to just not accept what the standard should be? You know, is he just supposed to kowtow and get in line even when he sees them playing terrible? I mean, you can still be happy that you won, but you can still want a little bit more as well too, and know where you need to be.
I've been saying this too, and Sirianni has publicly came out and said no one's working harder in practice than AJ Brown, right? And we are not in the generation now of keep it in the locker room and don't say a word. That is just not where we're at. These guys have social media, they're millions of followers, and they're always on the mic, right? And they're always on, I guess it's just easy for them to spread when they're pissed off. AJ Brown has Pro Bowls. AJ Brown has money. AJ Brown has a Super Bowl ring, right? So now AJ Brown also wants to get Hall of Fame stats, right? Mm-hmm. That's just the real life thing of it. I think that he would be okay taking a little bit of a step down to keep winning, but not this major of a step, right?
It's not like he's given up, too. He's still blocking 70 yards downfield, trying to get Saquon into the end zone. It's not like he's giving up on his teammates or anything.
I think
AJ Brown, those comments, though. It's the fantasy comments. It's the shit that he's saying after the games.
Well, who cares? Why does he care about your fantasy team?
He's saying, I'm not doing anything. Drop me in fantasy. Like, it's just diluting. Okay. Like, I'm gonna have an opinion. You're gonna have an opinion. TJ have an opinion.
For sure.
I see it. It's just bro. And I think Tyson said it on y'all show, right? Like fantasy kind of ruins things for a lot of people, and it's like when an NFL player is focused on like their fantasy value, I just find that a little odd, right? Like
you don't think the NFL player is getting banged over the head over and over again on social media about all these losers who DM them about their fantasy team and him not performing? You
get paid millions of dollars. I mean, I wouldn't pay any mind to it. He's talented. I'm not saying he's not talented. He's a great receiver. It's just getting so upset and talking about your fantasy value and, I'm not getting enough target. Like that offense is just not doing anything, right? Like they should be doing way more.
But that's why he's saying it. At the fantasy thing, it was one line. He's setting a negative tone on purpose. He's saying, I want change. I'm trying to tell you guys, we need to change. I told you in the locker room, we need to change. That hasn't worked. Guess what? I'm doing the next thing now. I'm going to stand on the tallest building in Philadelphia and yell it, which is X, right? And when I'm streaming on Twitch, I'm going to yell it. Because for the last 8 weeks and in preseason, I tried to tell you something ain't right. And yeah, we're winning right now, but when we play the elite teams in the playoffs, it's not going to work. And like Dustino says, every great receiver has that kind of thing. And you don't think there's receivers that all look at Mike Evans and see his production every year and be like, I want that. Right? I think AJ Brown and Mike Evans are like almost exactly the same when it comes to style of receiver. And it's like AJ Brown's like, I want to still be 1,000-yard guy. And if I'm 1,000-yard guy, we're going to look a lot better. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I agree.
I missed the Wayne Corbett. Yeah, you have the Wayne Corbett's and the Julian Edelmans and stuff
Danny
like that.
Amendolas,
Yeah, I always like the Julian Edelman story when he's talking about Tom Brady. And he's like, with Tom Brady, we all kiss the ring and we all look up to him. But there was a time when Julian Edelman said he caught the punt, and instead of fair catching, he caught it and like shook and got like 6 yards or something. And Tom Brady ripped him a new one, saying, why would you fair catch? And like went off. And like Julian Edelman's like, what the fuck does this guy know about catching punts? Like, he's like, he just was kind of like, and I'm pretty sure he didn't say it to Tom Brady's face, first of all, but he says he lost sleep at night because he's like, why is this guy yelling at me about like, it's such a crazy, scary job being a punt returner. And like, when you just didn't do anything wrong, you don't want to be yelled at by a guy like Tom Brady, when like stay in your lane kind of thing. Right. Whatever. It was just, but yeah, not everyone's going to be like Wayne Corbett and, all that kind of stuff. Let's move to a little bit of college football. Lane Kiffen, the whispers are there, right? And there's no graceful way to leave a job to go to another one. I think that Lane Kiffen will not leave Ole Miss to go to a college job. I think if Lane Kiffen goes, he's going to go back to the NFL. Jeff, what do you think about that?
I don't know. This is tough. Because
is LSU that much of a better job than Ole Miss? I mean,
yeah.
In Ole Miss, he gets to run the show. No meddling.
Okay, so obviously there's pros and cons to everything, right? Your pros of being in Oxford and at Ole Miss is that they'll build a statue for you by the time you leave, and your expectations with that fan base will be fine with whatever you do. So whether you win 6 games or whether you win 7 games or whether you go 13-0, they're still going to be happy. Right?
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of emotional ties that he has to Gainesville, into Florida. And a lot of my Florida people that I talked to thought that it was already going to be a done deal, that he's signing with Florida. It's like $12 million a year, highest paid coach in the history of sports. It is what it is. It's already been done. He met his wife in Gainesville. He's a Spurrier disciple, so on and so forth. But if we're talking about the premier jobs in college football, LSU is that. And with that fan base, with that alumni support, with that NIL, with everything that you have that you can do there. Also, we talked about this with Dion, right? How long would Dion stay at Colorado? Because eventually you're going to want to get to a point. His wife's a smoke show. That's great. Eventually you're going to want to get to a point where recruiting, you can fly somewhere, immediately fly right back in the South is where the best talent is, in my opinion. So
yeah,
I don't know if he's going to go pro because – I mean, if I was him, I would. There's only 30 of those jobs in the entire NFL. There's only a select amount of, I guess 32, but 31 other jobs than the one that you would be having. So I just think you have to take the NFL thing if it jumps at you. If not, I think LSU is the only spot that you go in college.
And Sean, he failed the first time, but almost every coach, Bill Belichick, Nick Saban. I mean, it's okay to fail. And
Chip Kelly.
Oh, right, Sean? Like, it's like.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine to come back. He just had it was a 5-15 with the Raiders or something like that. It's not a great record, but I mean, I'd love to know the data on like the prestigious college coaches that go to the NFL. I'd love to know like their cumulative record, because the success rate isn't extremely high. I feel like the successful college or NFL coaches are like the coaches that rise up through the NFL ranks, not the ones that just hop from college to NFL, because there's a huge difference in play style and play calling, defensive scheming. It's significantly different.
Also, is Lane Kiffen he's like so immature, right? I saw something very disturbing. Lane Kiffen was in a post-game conference, and nobody really talked about this. And he won the game. And after the game, the linebacker, this college linebacker is like 6'3", 250 pounds, a brick house, and tries to shake Lane Kiffin's hand after the game. And Lane Kiffen goes, "Don't shake my hand. You were talking shit during the game." And then he tells the girl interviewing him, "This guy said we weren't going to be able to move the ball all game." I'm like, damn, Lane, like, are you
stand on business, bro? Stand on business.
TJ, though, a couple of things about that. You don't think in the college football world that you know every single player that's out there? You don't think at some point Lane probably recruited that guy to try to come to Ole Miss? There could be a relationship there that we don't know about that brings brevity to the situation that we're not sure of. To touch on what Sean said, Chip Kelly is still failing in the NFL, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the Raiders offense this year. It is absolutely abysmal. Also, if you want to talk about success from college to NFL, we don't know. There's only 3 coaches that have won a national championship in college and also a Super Bowl in the NFL. Right? Jimmy Johnson, Barry Switzer, Pete Carroll. That's it. That's the list. So there's usually not a lot of great turnover when it comes to being a college coach and then turning that into professional. And a lot of times the college coaches will go pro and then come right back. So, but I think it's still some of the best. It's the best job in the world, right? And if you have an opportunity to take a pro NFL job, I think you have to take it.
Oh no, I'm saying like if the availability is there for sure. I'm just saying the success rate is not.
No.
And that's I don't even think that's like an opinion by anyone. That's a literal fact.
That's facts.
I think all of the successful coordinators that move up through the NFL because they have the feel for the NFL and see the game speed and the players, because the player talent disparity is significantly different coming from college to NFL. Like you have the elite of the elite. Even if you're playing in the SEC, a lot of those guys would still be bums or not drafted on NFL teams, right? So I think that's the huge difference between those guys that come up through like the coaching trees. They start as like linebacker coaches and then they become like quarterback, like whatever it is. Like that, to me, that's where you find your successful coaches. Lane Kiffen would be dumb not to take an NFL job because you get the prestigiousness there. But I think the LSU job, as you said, is the job that he should take, but he probably ends up going to Florida.
If he takes a college job, for sure.
If he takes one.
One thing I do want to say, and I think that a lot of times, especially professional franchises, they get too caught up in themselves. Okay. What I mean by that is that if you're going to bring in a college coach, this guy has been a talent evaluator and a recruiter for the past however many years of his life. He knows all the college kids that are going to be being drafted. Allow that guy to be in lockstep with your GM. Okay. Don't have this separation of, I want you to go out and coach X's and O's and not have, say over personnel. And I think there's certain guys who are really, really good at it. Let them be them is what I would say.
You think Jackson Dart could somehow, I don't know Lane Kiffen and Jackson Dart's relationship, to be honest with you. I know they were close, but I don't know how close.
I don't know if, Sheen, is that how you say his name? Your GM? I call him Show and Sheen. I'm not really surprised. I think that he is such a beta that he would feel too threatened by Lane to bring Lane in, honestly. Yeah. And so if you're going to make that move, which by all means, right, if you're going to get rid of Dayball, when Dayball and Jackson Dart start vibing, and you want to bring somebody in to now, be vibing with your quarterback, bring in his old college coach, but get rid of the GM. Because you cannot have the GM undermining him. And like I said, with Lane, allow Lane to step into that position, allow him to work in lockstep with the GM and be the guy that he's been, which is recruit really well and evaluate talent and turn Ole Miss to what it is and be that in the NFL.
Yeah, I think that
Shane? Okay.
Yeah, Shane, it's real weird though. I think that I was joking that Sarkisian looked kind of checked out in Texas on the sideline against Georgia. And I was saying that
I wouldn't want Sarkisian.
Yeah, I think the Giants are going after some, and those guys are all, or Sarkisian, I think, is a Belichick underling too. Somehow, I think they're connected. But
let me say this about Sark: he's done less with more than anybody else in the history of college football. Right? You have the highest NIL. You're in Texas. You have everything. You have access to every single recruit. Yet you really have not performed at all. And then they say to him after the game, they go, "Oh, so you just had your third loss in the SEC, and it looks like you're probably not going to be in the college football playoff. Do you look back and consider, because of expectations, that this season may be a failure or where to improve on?" He goes, "Well, whose expectations?"
Yeah, that's ridiculous,
bro. Like you're Texas, you were ranked 1 versus 2 going into the year, playing Ohio State to start the year. Whose expectations? Your expectations should be a national championship, and that's it. Like it's national championship, or we didn't reach our expectations.
And also
SEC championship as well. Like
his sideline presence sucks.
It's not great, dude.
When you watch him, I'm just like, man, this.
Do you remember that altercation that he had with the TV person? Where they were about to run out on the field, and the TV guy like stopped him. He's like, "Hey, wait 1 second." And Sark got in his face and was like, "If you ever touch me again, yada yada yada." Like, I think who you treat the least of everybody is how you treat everybody. You know what I mean? So the way that you talk to that guy who's literally, making $18 an hour, telling you, "Hold on 1 second," is the same way that you're going to treat everybody that you come across in your life. And I just didn't like any of it. So I would stay away from Sark if I could.
Shows some insecurities. Yeah. Sideline presence sucks. And that's that. What about the Miami Hurricanes? You think we have a chance to go into the playoff or? Oh, hold on. Before you guys answer that question, I was surprised, first of all, that we were in the conversation. ESPN put us there last week. I was also surprised to see that on the ACC network, they said if Miami beats NC State, they have a 15% chance of going to the playoffs, which I thought was weird. If we're already in it by your predictor, and then we're going to beat NC State most likely, how are we only at 15% when most likely we beat Pitt also? I'm not being cocky. I'm just saying we probably beat Pitt.
Yeah,
but do you think that we go to the playoffs if we win out? Or
it gets so convoluted, and I've been physically, mentally, and emotionally scarred by the college football playoff committee in my life, and so it's really tough for me to talk about this as a Florida State fan, because listen, any argument that you make, and my argument is that Notre Dame should be in the playoff, but my argument is also that Miami should be in the playoff as well too. I think you can't have one without the other, and I think Notre Dame has been that impressive going forward throughout the entire year. You have to at least give Miami and say, okay, the head-to-head you got, and allow Miami in. Now, what does that look like in terms of? There's this whole thing about with the ACC actually have an ACC championship that doesn't qualify to be one of the top power conferences and get left out of the college football playoff entirely. So there's been all these back and forth, and ESPN's already floated that idea. And let me tell you something: when ESPN starts floating ideas on College Game Day, things get a little squirrely. I can tell you that. So for me, I think they both deserve to be in, but you can't have Notre Dame in and not have Miami in.
Okay, Sean, I'm going to get you 1 second. Let me just run some scenarios by you really quick. It's just kind of crazy to think. If Florida State, if the 12-team playoff was 1 year earlier, Florida State goes in, obviously, right? They missed it because it was a 14 playoff that year, right? It was the last year they had a 14 playoff.
And UCF that 1 year, right? They missed. Yeah. If it was like 8 teams, they would have been in as well, right? So.
Exactly, which is whatever, right? But now the next year they go to 12-team. But if they went to 14 the next year, Jason Day would have been fired, right? Because Ohio State would have missed the 14 playoff. They just lost to Michigan, and they were calling for his head. Now he had the job at Ohio State for the next 10 years, right? Norvell would still be the coach at Florida State, right?
Yeah.
And blah, blah,
He'll
blah.
still be the coach at Florida State after this year. It won't matter.
Say it again.
He'll still be the coach at Florida State after this year.
Who?
Norvell.
Really?
Yeah, bro. We first of all, you're not firing Mike Norvell, paying him $60 million. I know we just went on a random tangent. Now we're down this rabbit hole. You're not paying Norvell $60 million when you just opened up and you paid all this money to open up your own football only facility that's state of the art, brand new, indoor. I mean, it's unbelievable. You can't afford it. Also, you need to be real with yourself right now as well too. Look at the schools that you're going up against to go get a head coach. Right? James Franklin already went to Virginia Tech. Right?
He got scooped up quick. That tells you something.
Immediately, right? Because there's who else are you going to hire in this cycle? Who are you going after that you think is going to be that big of an upgrade, that knows the program, knows the facilities, and is going to step in and bring in a better recruiting class? Number one. Number two, you're going up against LSU. You're going up against University of Florida, possibly Ole Miss, Arkansas, and also the New York Football Giants. So it's a terrible cycle to try to go after a coach as well. I think you just eat it. You sit on it. You hope to get bowl eligible. You hope to be better next year. You just got rid of Notre Dame on your schedule for next year. And you keep it moving.
Also, I also heard this with the college. I don't know if you guys have heard this, but they will use the head-to-head as a tiebreaker if they're within 3 ranking spots. So, let's say Miami's 15 and Notre Dame's 11, they will not use that as a head-to-head tiebreaker. Mm-hmm. But if they are close enough, then they will use it as a head-to-head tiebreaker. Kind of interesting to think about that.
So, I want to answer this question real quick. Could the Giants make Kafka first-time head coach? Do you think there's anything to it where if they want to give this as a tryout, that you need to bring Jackson Dart back this year because you want to see what they have together? Or do you think it's a situation of let's just not bring Jackson back and Kafka's, because Kafka's interviewed for some of these jobs recently. do you think I wonder where their mindset is. It's been so poor as a franchise for a while now, and so I wonder how they're going to be able to handle this and put their arms around it.
No, Sean, what do you think?
I think that if Kafka is going to coach, you bring Dart back. I'm on the fence that you don't bring Dart back this year just because your whole team is eviscerated by injuries. It's just hard. I mean, because as Kafka, you're in a tough spot, bro. Your whole team is hurt. I think everybody knows that you probably shouldn't win any more games this year. You should just take the pick. Let your players get healthy. Let Scat get healthy. Let Neighbors get healthy. Let Dart, because Dart's had 4 concussions this year too. Like, you don't want to keep playing with fire there. And I don't think, honestly, that's going to change with him, though, the way he runs and the way he plays football. He's going to have to get coached in the offseason to not take as many hits as he does, because his career is going to be very short if he keeps running the way he does. But it's hard because you're not going to get a good game. And if somehow Kafka comes out here, let's just say you let Winston play the rest of the year and they win 5 games, right? You kind of got to let him keep the job because he's doing a lot with a little. But I don't know. He's in a really weird spot. Really,
as a Giant fan, as a Jackson Dart fantasy owner, I can't separate the two. So I want Dart to play, but I think Dart has to play. Johnny T says that they have a bad 2026. They got a clean house. First of all, Dart needs reps. And Dart has looked amazing when he's out there, but Dart needs to kind of slow the game down in his head a little more so he knows when to get down, right? He just isn't as big as Josh Allen and can take those hits like Josh Allen does. But Jackson Dart needs the reps. And this is going to be a sexy team next year if Jackson Dart finishes the season hot. Because we could, like what Gene said, you could contribute Dart's success to Kafka too. That's the offensive coordinator, right? So those guys are linked together too. If Dart does great, we keep Kafka, and then we just kind of keep on going, because Dayball, all I heard was Dayball. Yep, Gene, you called Dart for sure. But all I heard was that Dayball blew all these big leads against great teams. What I felt was Dayball got these great leads against these great teams. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
We're capable. If the New York Giants were getting blown out, then I would be like, Dayball has to go. Now Dayball's gone, but Dayball and Kafka got these big leads. So let's at least give him credit for that. Let's get Dart back in there. Let's slow the game down for him. Let's teach Dart how to get down. And I say we bring Dart back. But
can I bring up one more topic? Not to go too far off the beaten path. I know Gene's going to kill us for running as long as we are right now. But I was curious, knowing both of your backgrounds, and I don't know if we had the discussion yet, but it was just announced with MVP for baseball. And on it, obviously, they should just name it the Shohei Ohtani MVP Award. Because he's going to win it every single year, and it doesn't really matter. But in the American League, obviously, you have Aaron Judge that wins it over a guy like Cal Raleigh. And obviously, knowing we're in the hospitality industry, I had some wise guys at my table the other day, and I was asking them, what is your opinion on that? And all of them, and these are all guys that probably in their 60s, was that Cal Raleigh deserved the MVP.
Yeah.
What's funny too, because you're bringing that up, TJ and I have had talks about this.
Yeah.
I thought Judge should have won. I'm a Mariners
that's
fan.
As a Mariners fan. That's why I'm asking as a Yankee.
TJ thought Cal should have won. So we both thought each other's player should have won. And to TJ's point, he said, you can find a ton of outfielders that can hit you 60 home runs. You can't find an elite catcher that can do what Cal did. And I know his batting average was less, and a lot of his stats were less, right?
Oh, yeah.
But
I think he batted below 250, I believe. I mean, it
was either he hit a home run or he struck out for a while. That's how he looked. But, I started getting, and as a Mariners fan, it's hard to not be like, oh, yeah, my player should have won. But it is a lot harder to find a premium and elite catcher that's going to do what Cal is going to do compared to how many outfielders can you find that can hit you 40, 50 home runs, So
and I think He missed less than 10 games. Well, I want to say the entire year. I think I saw like 6 games or something like that.
6 games, yeah.
Which is an incredible stat as well too. I guess my question is that if a catcher has a year like this and they don't win MVP, is there ever hope that they would? Because how are you ever going to repeat this year? You know,
well, most guys aren't going to hit
such a one-off. You know,
yeah, just Judge was so hot, so that's why. But listen, the cool thing about it was that they both won and they both took their teams to the playoffs, and they, you know what I mean, they were both kind of like had World Series chances, right? And I thought that's what made the MVP argument so fun, and it was one of the closest votes in history, right? Or maybe the closest vote in history. So that's all you could ask, is at least the voters weren't so narrow-minded to say, oh, well, he bat under 250, he couldn't win. Everybody opened their eyes. Some people thought the production out of catcher. I thought getting production out of catcher is so much more valuable, because I can find a guy right now in the outfield that can hit 30 home runs, not 60, but 30, where it's hard to find a catcher that hits 20. You know what I mean? It's just the way it is. But it was real close. I'm happy it was close. And I know Judge wanted it, but can give two shits about it now. I mean, the guy wants to win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, the Yankees are close. And Seattle's team next year, I mean, that lineup's going to be so scary. I think it's going to, I mean, you could arguably say it's already right now a collision course with the Yankees in Seattle to meet in the, you know, in the championship.
Yeah, and Johnny T had a good point too about, you know, Sosa hit 63 times and never beat out Bonds for MVP. But also Sosa was not that Judge is a liability in the field, but he's not the best defender as well too. And so is the MVP now just an offensive thing? Because one of the reasons that Bonds was also there as well too is because Bonds played every day. He was still a really good outfielder as well. Maybe not later on in his career when, you know, the PEDs kind of took over a lot of the, you know, running ability that he had. And, you know, he dealt with some other things. But, you know, but before that, he was unbelievable in the field. And so I think that was also a driving narrative as well too for me, is that for me the MVP is more about both things coming together and not only about offensive statistics. So
yeah, no, for sure, I agree. Well, hey guys, great show, Jeff.
That was fun. Thanks, man.
We can see you on the Uninformed Fan on Mondays and Fridays at noon.
Yes,
with Tyson. You guys are a great team. You guys kind of inspired us. And you're one of the few podcasters I know, or the only podcaster I know, that actually has a degree in broadcasting.
Yeah, the only person who actually has a degree in this that still makes no money. It's unbelievable, you know. Just like the rest of us. That's a good piece of paper you paid for, bro. I appreciate it, man. It was a pleasure. It's always fun to talk with you guys, and obviously, you know, me and Sean haven't had a chance to chop it up a lot. He just joined the fantasy league this year. So it was cool to kind of get his opinion on some things as well too. So I appreciate you having me. It was fun to fill in for, you know, one of my brothers who's hurting right now. So we always got each other's back.
Yeah, for sure. We're blessed to have beautiful wives. We're blessed to have healthy families.
Yeah.
And, you know, with Buff, he's going through a tough time right now, but the support he's going to get from his brotherhood will be immense.
Absolutely.
We love you, buddy. You can check out Sean Overman Wednesday nights on Sports Rants. But we always appreciate you guys listening. Subscribe, like us, and let's just talk sports and appreciate what we got.
Yeah.
Be great.
All right. Thanks, guys.